All right, we are ready to get started with our Tai Chi class for today. We're going to be doing a seated flow today, so make sure you have a chair handy, something with no arms if you have it around. You can certainly do it with arms if that's what you've got. If you're joining us on YouTube, go ahead and hit like and subscribe, ring the little bell, maybe drop a comment to let us know what you'd like to see. Go ahead and scoot to the edge of your chair. I like to start with my feet about hip width apart, but it's totally up to you. Start however you would like. I'm just going to raise my arms out to the sides. Take a moment. Take a deep breath in. And let everything out. And then I'm going to go start our music because I haven't started that yet. Okay, now then, raising my arms out to the sides, taking a deep breath, opening my chest, opening my breath, opening my mind, emptying out any expectations, any standards I set on myself for today, throwing all that out so I can just be in the moment. One more deep breath in. And then as I let it out, I let my arms drift down. And then drifting back up slowly, gently, floating like the wings of a bird. And down. And up. One more here. Flying, soaring, feeling the wind. And then from here, I'm going to bring my hands up onto my lap and just slide them forward, letting my palms run down, drip off the ends of my legs, and then pulling everything back up. Still breathing, inhaling and exhaling. One more. And then on this next one, as I slide my hands forward, I'm going to flip my palms over so that the backs of my hands touch my legs as I come back up. Beautiful. One more, just waking everything up, making sure everything's there. And then this time we're going to float our hands up right off the edge of our knees, coming up in front of us, pulling back in towards our heart, and then sinking down before sliding out and then floating up again. We call this one opening the door. Beautiful. Now from here, you're going to float your hands right up, float them into your heart, push them back out, and then let them start to slowly drift from side to side. Just drifting like the branches of a tree, floating in the wind. Long, delicate branches like on a willow tree. Maybe they still have dew on them. You can see it glistening in the morning sun. Beautiful. And when you get to the next corner, we're going to stop there for just a second and pull in. And then push right back out. Pushing and pulling. Leaning side to side. cheek to cheek. Beautiful. On this next one, you're going to leave them hanging out there, suspended in space, and then let them start drifting right back across. Perfect. Swaying side to side. And then when we get to that opposite corner, pulling in and pushing out. Smoothly, effortlessly. We call it a push and pull, but we're not really exerting here. More like we're extending and then withdrawing. It's very gentle, like the trunk of the tree swaying and carrying the branches with it, letting the wind do the work for us. Last one here, and then drifting right back towards the middle, opening out wide. Bring your hands in, and then flip your palms over and let them come all the way down, touching your legs, flipping over, and then sliding off the side. Rising back up towards the corners, gathering in energy, sinking it down. Now this time, as your hands float up, let your heels float up as well. And then as your hands come down, heels come down. Beautiful. We call this one sinking the chi. Gathering in our energy and then sinking it right down into our core to help us prepare for our day. One more here. And then this time, slide your hands down off the front of your knees again and float them right back up. Open out into a big hug. And then you're going to take one hand and circle it under, brushing across the tops of your legs while the other hand circles on top. Inhaling and opening wide. Exhaling, closing with the other hand in on the bottom. Circling around to embrace the moon. Holding it right in your lap, maybe even curling your body around it just a little. Hugging it in, feeling its strength, its solidness. Holding it in tight, and then expanding to let it go and share it with everyone around you. Beautiful. Bringing those hands in, fingertips almost touching, and then flip over and come back down to sink the chi. Just one here. And then floating your hands down and up in front of you. Flipping them over, like you're holding a little ball between your hands, and you're just rolling it back and forth. Like a little ball of Play-Doh you used to play with when you were a kid. Or maybe a little ball of energy that you're rolling between your palms, feeling the warmth. And then just sliding one hand up and out, coming back, sliding the other hand. Feeling that energy as your hands glide palm to palm, not quite touching, but almost. Beautiful. Now on this next one, we're going to take that bottom hand and drop it out to the side, like we're tossing that little ball, and then pulling it right back in. Let's do it again. As we toss, raising our heels, and then letting them sink as our hand folds back in. Beautiful. On this next one, we're going to switch sides. Still heels floating up as the hand reaches out. Tossing gently to the side. Brushing across your lap. One more on this side, and then we're going to start alternating. One side, and then the other. We call this one repulsing the monkey, or avoiding the monkey, depending on the translation. And it's about pushing back, warding off those annoying thoughts, habits, things that stick in our head that don't serve us, maybe holding us back. And we just have to learn how to let those go. One more here. And then we're just going to leave that hand out there. Pull the other hand in with it. And just let everything sink. As we come up, heels lift up. And then settle. One more here. And then on this next one, as our heels settle, we're going to let this front hand also drift down, touching our lap and then floating right back up. Still breathing. On the next one, we're going to let the other hand fold in like we're waving towards our face. Maybe splashing a little water on our face on a hot day, feeling the cool water droplets. And then letting both hands play together. Beautiful. On this next one, we're gonna step our foot out that direction and then push. Beautiful. Rewind, pull those arms back, leave the foot there, and push. One more. Beautiful. Sit back, bring that foot in, rainbow everything up and over, and go straight to the other side, melting down, and heels floating up. Allowing everything to soften as you sink down. And then rising up like a flower reaching towards the sun. Now adding in that front hand on this next one. Beautiful. Slow and gentle. Like you're bouncing on the surface of a wave. Letting it pass under you. And then the other hand starts to wave in, splashing the cool water on your face. Feeling the warmth of the sun, smelling the salt air. Maybe hearing the birds in the distance. And both hands together. Now on this next one, we're going to do that step out to the other side. Stepping and push. This time, take that top hand, let it draw all the way down. The other hand comes up and around, and then push again. Circling like a big double spiral with the arms of our galaxy. Swirling around. Beautiful. Then sitting back, dragging across, step that foot in, take your time. Rainbow the arms up and over, and go straight into both hands together. Back to floating on the wave. Softening and then stretching. And then stepping out to the side again. Circling the arms around. Beautiful. One more here. Pull everything in, rainbow up and over. And then floating right back around to the front, opening out into a big hug. Coming back in, one sink the chi. This time, floating our hands off the front of our knees and right up in front. Opening out nice and wide. And then one hand's gonna drop down and drift across. Like it's just floating gently across the sky like a cloud. When you reach the other side, you're gonna switch. These clouds always change their shape, change their position as they move, carried by the breeze. And your hands are just like those clouds, floating lightly, weightlessly, effortlessly. Beautiful. And this next one, when you reach the corner, your hand's going to form a hook. And that top hand's just going to keep going, looping around. As you sway side to side. We call this one cloud hands, or actually we call this one single whip. And I really love this one because as you inhale coming up, you have plenty of breath to exhale and then settle right there. Inhaling, floating across the sky, and then softening, and then adding, lifting those heels in again. Beautiful. One more with a big sigh. Beautiful. Release that hook. Float all the way across. Right back to our cloud hands. When we reach the opposite corner, we're going to make a hook with the other hand. And then keep going with our single whip here. Adding in our heel lift as we lighten and float. And then settle as everything gets heavy right at the end. Beautiful. One more here. And then letting that other hand float across, following right back into your cloud hands. This time when we get to the corner, the other hand's going to float up and we're going to pull right back into our heart space. A little bit of that push and pull again. But this time, tap one foot in and then right back out and reach just a little further. Beautiful. On this next one, crossing our hands down low and then opening up nice and wide, circling around for Princess in the Valley. Perfect. Reaching down nice and low. How low? I don't care. However low feels good in your body. Reaching up however high feels good in your body. There's no right or wrong. There's just moving and flowing. And breathing, always breathing. On this next one, we're going to float up, pull in, bring that foot in to meet, push back out, and then come right back in to cloud hands. Beautiful. Drifting until we reach that opposite corner again. Hands float up, pull in, step in, and then step out. reaching, like we're pushing a mountain, and then coming right up over the top to come home. Beautiful. Now this time, we're gonna reach up high and cross, and then circle around low for Princess on the Mountain. Beautiful. Hands come up and cross, and then opening wide. One more here. And then hands push out, pull back, foot steps back in, hands reach out, and then separate and drift right back across the sky. Beautiful. Back to that hook, stepping out this time, reaching further with that single whip. Still sinking and settling. When you get to that settling point this time, we're going to pause and then reverse direction. Coming right across our lap, turning, reaching out, like we're sweeping up across the ocean, painting up through the sky, splashing colors everywhere at sunset. You know, when the sun makes all those beautiful colors in the water as it's setting. It's like you're dipping a paintbrush and then smearing it across the sky. One more here. And then release that hook. Step that foot in. And hands float like clouds. Beautiful. When you reach the opposite corner, make your hook, step out, and come right back into your single whip. Beautiful. Love that nice big sigh. One more here, and then we're going to switch directions. Finding that point, and then bouncing back. Come in the other direction. Maybe this time, like a snake creeping down, turning its nose, slithering through the grass. Beautiful. Maybe the other hand is not bunched holding a hook. Maybe it's holding on to a tree trunk that the snake slithers down. Or a squirrel. If you're not a fan of snakes, it can be a squirrel. One more here. And then that hand releases. Feet step in. And you're right back to your cloud hands. Making a big hug, dragging it to the center, opening out, and then sinking the chi. One more here. And then this time we're going to float our hands up and over a little higher. Floating down and then bouncing back up once we touch our lap. Coming up all the way around, palms turning over to scoop up this time. Reaching to your heart and then bouncing down. Coming out to the sides, up and over again. Sinking down. And then this time as we bounce up, coming up to find our heart space, make a diamond with your fingertips, and then reach out like you're trying to touch the palms of the person across the room. Stretching, opening, sending out all that heart energy, and then letting your arms relax and float down. Coming up to the sides again, up and over. Sinking down, hands float up, turning and scooping under. Back up to the heart, and then floating down and out to the sides again. Down through the heart center once more, and then bouncing up, making that diamond. Pushing out again, reaching a little further this time. Maybe even leaning a little forward, reaching, sharing, giving, pushing that energy out towards the people who need it on the other side of the room, the other side of the street, the other side of the world. And then letting your hands and your heels float down one more time, coming up to the corners, floating down through your center, bouncing back up, scooping around like you're rubbing a big Buddha belly, and then bouncing down, coming out to the sides this time, hands and heels floating up and then down. One last time, making that heart mudra, gathering all your energy in and then pushing it out, breathing, sharing, reaching. We call this one a heart opener because you're opening that energy out, sharing it with the world. One more moment here. And then letting everything relax down. One last time, sinking the chi. And then sliding your hands down off the edges of your knees and back up. And then flipping the palms over. Using the backs of the hands one more time. And then gathering everything in, bringing your hands up to heart center. Take a moment, take a deep breath in. Let it all go. One more breath, this time pulling in all that energy, all that love that was shared with you as you shared with the rest of the world. Storing it up, preparing for the day. And then open your eyes. And we are done. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next Wednesday.